Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast. You're listening to The Deep Dive. Our mission today, well, it's to cut through all the noise and give you some really crucial insights for your home safety. Specifically, we're talking about your electrical systems. For this deep dive, we're focusing on understanding the top signs it's time for a whole home rewire. And our information today comes straight from the source. Copperfield Electric. They're a trusted electrician right here in Orange County, and these are their expert takes on this honestly vital topic. Now, look, for a lot of us, especially if you're in an older home, there can be this kind of silent hazard just lurking behind the walls, outdated electrical wiring. And it's not just, an inconvenience, it's a genuine risk. We're talking electrical fires, potential shocks, or even that slow, gradual damage to all your expensive devices. So think of this deep dive as your shortcut, your express route to getting properly informed about a really critical part of home safety.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point, isn't it? Understanding these signs, these signals your house is giving you, it isn't just about like routine maintenance. It's fundamentally about making sure your home's electrical system meets today's safety standards. Is it robust enough? Can it actually protect your family and your property? Because let's be real, the electrical demands from decades ago, they just don't compare to what we ask of our systems now. It's like, imagine trying to run a modern computer setup off one of those old power strips from the 80s. That mismatch, that's kind of what's happening in many older homes trying to power everything we use today.
That's a really good way to put it. Okay, so let's unpack this then. What are the actual red flags, the things we should be, looking out for? I think many of us have probably had that moment, right? That sudden quiet when a circuit breaker trips. Is that always like a major sign of trouble?
Well, it's definitely more than just frustrating. If your circuit breaker tricks often, frequently, that's a clear signal. It's telling you your home's electrical system just cannot handle the current load. Think about circuit breakers like safety valves for your electricity. Their job is to cut power when a circuit gets overloaded. That stops wires overheating, potentially starting a fire. So yeah, frequent trips aren't just annoying. It's your system basically shouting for help again and again. It means your wiring might be outdated, or you're just demanding way more electricity than it can safely give. So it raises that important question. Is your system stressed? Stressed beyond its safe limit?
Okay, that makes total sense. It's the system trying to protect itself. So what about those other weird things, like when your lights aren't behaving? Flickering or dimming. It can be pretty unsettling, actually, almost like something's wrong.
Absolutely. And often something is wrong. Flickering lights, or lights that dim unexpectedly. Maybe especially when you plug something in or turn on a big appliance. That can point directly to loose or worn out electrical wiring, or maybe even not enough capacity in the electrical panel itself. What's interesting or maybe concerning is how these seemingly small things, like one flickering bulb, can actually be a symptom of a much bigger system-wide problem in your home's electrical setup. It's literally your system struggling to meet the demand. That causes voltage drops, that's the dimming you see, and this constant struggle. It puts stress on your appliances too, could shorten their lifespan.
Wow. Okay. Now here's one that really hits home about the seriousness. A burning smell. We're seeing actual burn marks. That just screams immediate danger, doesn't it?
It is immediate danger, no question. A burning smell coming from near an outlet or actual scorch marks around switches, that's not just a sign, it's an emergency situation. It means something is overheating right now. That's a direct fire hazard. You absolutely cannot ignore this. If you smell that distinct electrical burning odor, or see any charring, you need to act fast. Unplug anything connected there, turn off the power to that circuit at your breaker box, if you can do it safely, of course, and call a qualified electrician immediately. This isn't just a potential fire, it could be one actively starting.
Right. Okay. So we've covered things you might see or smell, but sometimes the big problems are, like you said, hidden, literally inside the walls, the type of wiring, or even the kind of outlets you have. Why are those older outlet types, or things like aluminum wiring, such a big concern?
That's a really critical point. A lot of older homes, particularly those built before, say, the 1970s, might have issues here.
Yeah.
You might have ungrounded outlets. Those are the old two-prong ones you still see sometimes. They're missing that third round hole. That third prong is crucial. It's the ground wire. Think of it as a dedicated safety path. It diverts dangerous electrical surges or fault currents away from you, away from your sensitive electronics. Prevents shocks, prevents damage. Without that ground, your home, your devices, they're just much more vulnerable. And then there's aluminum wiring. This was pretty common for a stretch, maybe mid-60s to early 70s. Copper was expensive or hard to get. But here's the problem with aluminum. Unlike copper, it expands and contracts a lot more when the temperature changes. So over time, this constant expanding and contracting, especially right at the connection points, think outlets, switches, light fixtures, it can cause those connections to loosen up. And loose connections, they create resistance. Resistance creates heat, excessive heat. That heat is a direct fire hazard. That's why homes with aluminum wiring are considered higher risk. It's just a basic property of the material that makes it less safe than copper for wiring your house.
That's now. Wow, that's genuinely alarming when you explain the why behind it. Not just it's old, but it's actively creating risk over time. Okay, so let's connect this all together then. What does this really mean for you, the homeowner? Beyond just spotting these problems, what are the actual, tangible benefits of going through with a full home rewire?
Well, the number one benefit, and it's undisputed, is safety. Plain and simple. A whole home rewire makes sure that all your outlets, your switches, all of the connections are brought up to modern code. This drastically cuts down the risk of electrical fires, shocks, and all sorts of electrical damage. It brings your home into compliance with the National Electrical Code, the NEC. That's basically the safety rulebook for electrical work in the U.S. And it gets updated all the time to keep up with new tech and new risks. So being compliant means your home is protected to the latest standards. That's huge for peace of mind. It can even affect your home insurance, believe it or not. And then beyond just safety, think about how we live now. Older homes, their wiring systems, they often really struggle to support the sheer number of devices we use. Yeah. Think about it. Phone chargers, laptops, tablets, maybe an electric vehicle charger, smart home gadgets, multiple big TVs, powerful kitchen appliances, central air. Upgrading your wiring allows for things like reliable home EV charging. Make sure you get the proper charging speeds. And it ensures your electrical panel can actually handle these new, much higher electrical loads safely. It's really about future-proofing your home, making sure it can keep up not just with today, but with whatever comes next.
Yeah, that's something most of us probably don't think about until, a fuse blows or the lights start acting weird. It's not just about what we need right now, but anticipating those future needs too. What about the money side? I mean, a full rewire sounds like a big investment.
It absolutely is an investment, no doubt, but it's one that typically pays off in the long run. A full rewire helps you avoid those annoying repeated circuit breaker trips. It gets rid of the constant headache of flickering lights. And it prevents potential damage to your expensive electronics from, unstable power. So, yeah, it's a long-term investment in your home's safety, definitely, but also its overall value. And if you're thinking about selling your home, a modern, updated electrical system is a massive selling point. It really boosts buyer confidence. It can make the sale smoother, faster, because they know it meets code and isn't going to be some hidden, expensive problem later. Honestly, in the long run, it can prevent much more costly repairs that often pop up with old, stressed electrical systems.
So it really does sound like that investment is, absolutely worth it, especially if your home's wiring could be 40, 50, maybe even 60 years old when you factor in the better safety, the code compliance, being able to handle all our modern gadgets.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Okay, here's a really crucial point then. When should you specifically start thinking about this big upgrade? It sounds like there are definite scenarios that should be ringing alarm bells for homeowners.
Yeah, there definitely are some clear triggers that sort of bring all these points together. You should strongly consider a whole home rewire if your home is older than, say, 25 to 40 years.
Yeah.
Especially if it hasn't had any major electrical work done in that time. And as we talked about, those frequent circuit breaker trips, that's a huge red flag. Or if you're constantly dealing with flickering lights or outlets that seem dim. Also, if a professional electrician tells you flat out that your panel or wiring is outdated or unsafe, listen to them. Or if you personally notice things like burning smells or actual rust or corrosion inside your electrical panels. Those are all extremely strong signs that it's time for a serious electrical upgrade. And this is really where getting a professional involved is key. A licensed electrician, they don't just guess, they do a thorough evaluation. The whole system. They inspect everything, the main panel, outlets, switches, the actual wiring inside the walls. They make sure all the components meet current safety standards and can actually handle what your household needs. They're the ones qualified to replace old panels, update that dangerous wiring, and ultimately, their expertise significantly cuts down your risk of shock and fire. It's about getting that professional recommendation you can trust, based on a real, comprehensive look, not just a quick peek.
Right. And it sounds like catching these things early through that professional inspection really helps stop major problems before they turn into emergencies. So who are the experts again that are providing all this great insight?
Yeah, all this knowledge we're sharing today comes directly from Copperfield Electric. They're the Orange County experts who put this material together. Their insights are really the foundation for our deep dive because, they're out there dealing with these exact issues every single day in homes just like yours.
That's right. Copperfield Electric is a family-owned business. We're really committed to providing top-quality electrical services across Southern California, focusing right here in Orange County. Our team. They're highly trained, licensed, bonded, insured, and importantly, background-checked electricians. What that means for you is complete peace of mind. Every time. Knowing you've got qualified, trustworthy professionals working in your home, we believe in fast, reliable, and honest solutions, and we back it up with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. And because electrical problems don't wait for convenient times, we offer 247 emergency services for those critical situations. We're proud to serve cities all across Orange County, Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Mission Viejo, and all the surrounding areas too.
So whether you're dealing with those flickering lights we were just talking about, or maybe you're just curious if your older home is ready for an EV charger, it sounds like Copperfield Electric really has the expertise. They seem to cover pretty much everything, making them a real go-to for anything related to your home's electrical health. Okay, so just to quickly recap what we've covered. Recognizing these signs, the indicators that it might be time for a whole home rewire, is just incredibly important. And taking that proactive step, getting it done, brings so many real benefits. We're talking drastically improved safety, first and foremost. Plus, the ability to actually support all your modern appliances and devices, and significantly increasing your home's value while potentially saving you from bigger, costlier problems later on.
If we try to connect this to the bigger picture for a second, think about your home almost like a living system. Like your body, it gives you signals when something isn't right. And ignoring those electrical signals, it isn't just about putting up with dim lights or resetting a breaker now and then. It could be overlooking something fundamental to your family's safety and your everyday convenience. So it really raises an important question, doesn't it? What hidden risks might your home be signaling to you right now? And what kind of peace of mind could you get by actually understanding what those messages mean?
That's a powerful thought. And if those signals are sounding familiar to you, please don't hesitate. Contact Copperfield Electric today. Get a professional inspection scheduled or ask for a quote for a whole home rewire. Their licensed electricians can walk you through the whole process, make sure your system meets, and often probably exceeds, the National Electrical Code. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into home electrical safety.